Hey, welcome back, peeps, to another, it's not an episode really, just another live stream hanging at NickT.live. I'm your host, Nick, just having some coffee. So we're going to be looking today at, actually, I'm going to zoom in myself here because it's just me. I don't have a guest, so it doesn't matter if my noggin looks a little bigger. Let's just fix that. Let's see here. That's good. There we go. Cool. Maybe shrink it a little bit. Let's see. Yeah, good enough. Cool. Anyways, yeah, we're gonna be building out a Copilot extension from A to Z today. So I'm gonna drop a link. This is gonna be based off a blog post I wrote recently. If you want to check that out. Uh, I got to hang out with a couple of engineers from GitHub. I think it was about 3 weeks ago. Might have been even a month now, but Gregor Martinez and Francis Batak, and we just kind of walked through like building out one, and then I had actually built out a proof of concept for a for open source where I work. So I can link to that, but also you can check out the docs on the Copilot extension here for anybody interested. It's still in public beta as far as I know, and there's also tons of examples if you want to take a peek over here. And just gonna cough. Cool. But let's go to the blog post for a second. And let's zoom that in. Cool. So yeah, basically this is literally a breakdown of everything you need to do to build a Copilot extension today. The one thing I will mention is if you want to build a Copilot extension today, it does require a Copilot extension subscription. Sorry, not Copilot extension, a GitHub Copilot subscription. Hey, how's it going, Jason? Good to see you, my man. So that is the one criteria. I'd say if you don't have a subscription, but you're interested in building out one of these, pay I think it's like, I don't know if it's still $10 a month for Copilot, but if you want to build out one of these, just pay for the month, or maybe your work will pay for it, just to build out one of these. And yeah, so we're gonna literally go through everything you need to do. Basically, there's a few things here. So Copilot is available everywhere. So like if we go to github.com right now, and I'm gonna zoom in here. I have a Copilot subscription through work. So with that, we also have Copilot Chat. So Copilot Chat is basically where you can create a Copilot extension and it'll get surfaced up here. So I'm just going to say general purpose chat, and I've made some of these before, but you can see here there's already some installed. So like, for example, this is one of the examples from the GitHub team. It's called Blackbeard Agent, and I'm not sure if this one is working right now. We'll have to see. I'm not sure. I think I had this running on my own, but we'll see. So basically what this particular agent does, and again, this is just an extension. So you're in Copilot chat. You still have access to everything that Copilot provides, but you can enhance that experience by adding an extension, like effectively extending what Copilot chat can do. So this particular example is a little silly, but it's called the Blackbeard agent. And what it does is like you can ask programming related stuff and it should answer in a pirate voice. So like if I say, what are Merkle trees? Now I can't remember if I was running this locally, so this might not actually work. It might give an error, but okay, there we go. Okay, yeah. So you can see here it's saying ahoy there, Nicky T online, Merkle trees. So already talking like a pirate. And but then it goes ahead and explains what a Merkle tree is, and yeah, and then it just goes through there. The Merkle trees, TLDR, they're used for blockchain technology, and it's also what's used for Git, from what I remember. Did they mention that? Pretty sure. Anyways, this is just an example of how you can extend a GitHub Copilot chat. So what we're going to do effectively is build our own extension. We're not going to build Blackbeard here, but like if I do at, you can see, okay, you're limited to one agent per thread. Okay, that could be my subscription, or maybe that's just my particular subscription, but let's create a new one. So let's go back here and say general purpose chat. Let's delete that. And then you're going to see here, I have all these other ones. So the open source POC is one I created for work, and basically that integrates our AI offering called Star Search, and you can ask stuff about repositories or orgs that uh, it's information that Copilot can't answer currently. Copilot's really good at answering questions about like code and stuff. We at open source we're focused more on like, how is the org operating and like how is it governed. So like and also just so you could ask something like, for example, who's worked on security related issues recently. Just gonna turn on my fan here. That's just an example. We're not going to be looking at the open source Copilot extension today unless somebody wants to look at that. I can spin that up later. But we're going to build one from scratch. So I'm going to try and keep this simple. So I'm going to have these side by side. Let's just split this up thanks to whatchamacallit. Okay, GitHub. There we go. Here, let's just do this. Okay, so we're going to have them side by side here. And let's do this. Okay. So there's a few things here. I might do this in a different order, but we can do it this way first. The other thing is with the Copilot extension, if you look at my blog post here that I dropped, I have a template project that you can use instead. So like I go through all the steps I did to create that template so you can actually build one on your own. But if you're just lazy, oh, lazy is not the word. If you just want to get up and running, you can go ahead and grab the actual template, which let me find it at the bottom here. Where did I link it? Okay, that's the real world example. That's the Star Search integration one. But okay, so here's the template. So I'll drop this in the chat. This is also in the blog post. Yeah, exactly. Lazy. Well, good programmers are typically lazy, so it checks out. Cuckoo. Yeah, exactly. We're polite, eat lots of bacon, 4 cups of maple syrup a day keeps the doctor away, I think. Anyways, did that link drop? Okay, yeah, it did. Cool. Let me see in the chat. Did that? Okay, yeah, cool, it did. I don't know why I didn't drop it on Twitch, but I think that might be my moderation bot blocking me. Anyways, so there's this Copilot extension template if you want to get up and running right away, but I'm just going to kind of work through how I got to building this template. So we're going to go all the way to the top here. And so before we get started, I feel like that's a mandatory Captain America Winter Civil War reference, but there's a few things. So to have a GitHub Copilot extension, there's 2 things. You can do one just in VS Code, and there's another path for that, which we're not going to look at today. The path I'm looking at is where we build a Copilot extension that is ubiquitous everywhere you have access to Copilot. So that's github.com, that's Visual Studio Code, that's Visual Studio if you're a .NET developer. Not sure what other properties. Oh yeah, code spaces. Basically anywhere that Copilot chat can get surfaced, your extension should be available there. All right, mandatory coffee sip. And just gotta check work Slack for 1 sec here. Cool, nothing major going on, I don't think. Okay, just a PR merged. Cool. All right, so yeah, so we're gonna go ahead and build this out. And so what does it take to build a ubiquitous Copilot extension? It requires a GitHub app, and the GitHub app, what it requires is we have to create the GitHub app in our developer settings, which I'll go through. But essentially, the GitHub app is some kind of web-based project that you run that gets registered in the GitHub app. So in the template I made, I'm using Hano.js, which is a web framework, but you can literally use anything. You could use Express, you could use like a React meta framework probably wouldn't make sense right now because we can't render React components. So like we can only return responses based on what the Copilot extension APIs allow for. Um, but I mean, I guess you could technically use one. It wouldn't make sense, but you'd have to just kind of render responses. Typically textual, and then so it doesn't make sense for that. But if you look at like a bare bones things like Hano, Express, if you're on Dino, there's I mean even in Node you can use their base web server if you want. There's also like Oak. I mean it could literally be a Rails uh, app too. The main thing to know right now is because we're going to be using the Copilot extensions SDK. And this is currently only available for JavaScript and TypeScript projects. There, feel free to open up an issue if you want to see it in another language, or if you're really interested, go ahead and port it to your own language if that's something you want to do. It is Hacktoberfest after all, and honestly, that would be some pretty good street cred if you did do that. Excuse me. Okay, so like I said, we're just gonna focus on Hano. So I'm literally gonna just go through my blog post because, well, couple reasons. Still got a bit of cough. I think that coffee went down the wrong way. I want to go through the steps I outlined in the blog post just to make sure I didn't miss anything. And also, it should be all we need. So, okay, I'm going to go ahead and shrink this side just for now. And let's put this over here. Okay, let's go there. Let's open up code. All right, so let's close the folder here. I'm looking at the open source app right now, which we don't need open. So let's close the folder. Why am I not seeing this file? Close folder. Hide others, check for updates. New text. Why is it not letting me close the editor? Weird. Is there more than one? No. Okay, not sure what's up here, but let's go over here. Cool. And let's exit. All right, cool. Just gonna go ahead and check socials for a second here. Do. Hope everybody's day is going well. Not that I'm gonna be surfing Twitter all day here during the live stream. I'm just checking because I had some messages, but I think that's for all things open, which I'm going to. Cool. All right, let's get back to it. Cool. All right. Okay, so we're gonna create a new project. I don't know why VS Code is not letting me close this particular. Oh, there. Now it's letting me. I don't know why it wasn't before. Okay, so let's start fresh here. And let's go to my dev folder. Let's go to streams. Oh, cool. And we're gonna run npm create Hono latest. Why is my highlighting not working? Okay, that is odd. Do I have, let me see here. Yeah, that is very odd. Why can't I copy that? Okay, whatever. Cool. So we're gonna do npm create, and let me zoom this in. npm create Hono at latest. So it's gonna create a new project. Yeah, I didn't realize you were going to all things open, Jason. It's gonna be cool to see you there, man. First time we'll meet. We've obviously been in each other's DMs and chatting on Twitter Spaces and stuff, but it's gonna be cool to finally meet up. All right, so we're gonna create I guess we can call this my Copilot extension. Terrible name, but whatever. Okay, I'm going to focus on Node for now, but there's obviously different deployment targets. I'm not. I'm a fan of Netlify. I used to work there. I'm not deploying it to there because in the serverless context, I don't think we have enough time to actually run the requests and stuff. I think it makes more sense in either a longer running process or a server full context. So I'm just gonna go with Node.js here. Okay, and let's let that set up. Yes, I want to install the dependencies. I'm gonna use npm, but we could use Dino. Dino 2 got released last week officially, and I actually switched my Nikki.live project, which is my schedule for my live streams, to use Dino for formatting and for linting. I'm not using it for deployment yet because I'm deploying to Netlify, and I don't think they have version 2 in the image deploy build images. Uh, I could install it, I guess, but it's something I'll look at after. But for today's purposes, let's just keep it with good old npm. So this is just going to install the dependencies, and then we need to install some more. And I'm kind of annoyed why it's not copying this thing. Okay. All right. Let's just do this. npm install at copilot extensions / preview SDK and at octokit core. So the preview SDK is something that one of the GitHub engineers, Gregor Martinez, has been working on alongside Francis Batak, and I think there's been external contributions as well. Not sure if anybody else from GitHub has worked on it yet, but this is going to give us some primitives that we can use in the Copilot extension to just make things easier in terms of returning responses. And the other thing is the OctoKit core. So the OctoKit is the SDK to allow you to hit the GitHub API. It's nicer through the SDK. So we're gonna go ahead and install those two things. Oh, you just found out? Oh, that's cool, man. Yeah, no, it should be fun. Okay, what's wrong? Invalid tag name OctoKits. Oh, yeah, it's because I don't know how to spell OctoKit / core. Okay, cool. So that's all done. And okay, that's interesting. This is not part of it, but like it's part of my blog, and it's not rendering an embedding. I'll have to look at that after, but that's not a showstopper for what we're doing right now. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is going to open up code, and I'm going to, what did we call it? My dash Copilot extension. Okay, cool. And we'll just look through here real quick. But basically, when you create a new Hano app, it's going to give you something like this. So if you've used something like Express, it looks similar. So you have like a route here. So like for a get request. So hitting / will return hello Hano. And that's pretty much all we got. So like if we go ahead and run this, so I'm just going to do nrdev. And if we go over here to localhost 3000, it's going to say hello Hano. So that's what we want. So we're all set up there. That's great. So I'm just going to hide the terminal for now, and I'm going to hide the side here. And let's go back to over here. Cool. So we've done that. And so now I'm just, oh man, I can't even copy that. Okay, I'm going to go to the dev2 article. I got to see why my blog doesn't allow for that. Cool. All right, so we basically want to copy this, and I'll explain what's going on here. New app, Hano. Okay. So we're still importing Hano. We're importing OctoKit, which we're going to need to do, whatchamacallit, calling the GitHub, just getting information from GitHub. These aren't in use yet, but we've got these new methods, or sorry, functions coming from the preview SDK that we're going to use. And I'll explain what those each do as we go along. Cool. And all right, so cannot find names served. Do I have to add that? This could be something for my blog post. Yeah, Hano nodes serve. Okay, there we go. So let's move that up here. So I'm gonna add this to my blog post. Might as well edit it right now. So let's do this. Da, 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 da. Edit. Okay. We're live editing, live coding. We're doing everything. Okay, so we just want to add this here. I figured I missed some stuff, but it's good to know. Okay, cool. Let's save that. It's a pretty long blog post, so it takes a minute to publish, I guess. All right, there we go. We're done. Let's get back to where we were. Okay, so uh, the GitHub app that we're going to configure in a bit, that's after we've set up the website, is we need to have an endpoint. And this is where basically anytime you ask something in Copilot chat, like if I say at my dash Copilot dash extension something, it's going to go to this endpoint. So let's go ahead and copy this. And then I'm just in this here, I'm just going to say, welcome to my Copilot extension. Okay, and then yeah, we're going to fill this in. So basically we're going to look at some stuff here. So some stuff here is Hano specific. So the C here is basically, it's the context from Hano, and that has like a request and a response. So we can get, for example, let me zoom this in one more time. Not that side, this side here. And basically this is getting the body of the request. So think of the payload. Um, the signature, this is a header coming from the GitHub Copilot chat that gets sent to us. There's a public key identifier, and we're going to use these things, and I'll explain why. So we have this up here. You can see there's this function that we're not using yet called verify and parse request. And this is super important to do because it's the internet. There's always bad actors out there. Even in the context of a Copilot extension, somebody, it's all web tech, so like somebody could come in and be nefarious. So what this does is it just verifies like, okay, this is a valid uh, payload coming from the Copilot chat. And if it's not valid, then we just say, oops, nope, that was no good, and then just raise his hand. Okay. I'm not sure what you're raising your hand for, or raise your hands up in the air like you just don't care. I'm not sure what that's for, Jason, or if you have a question. So, anyways, go ahead if you do have a question. Okay, so we're gonna just copy this over. So this is the first part, and let's put this here. And okay, so c dot body. Okay, so there's verify and parse request. Okay, yeah, would help if I got that information too. So let's copy this. That's kind of important. Okay, and you know what? Where's token for user? Oh, interesting. Some stuff. Internet bad egg. Yeah, exactly. Okay. Token for user. What was that again? I'll have to check what that is. But clearly, I'm just going to take a couple notes here because I got to update my blog post. Just going to create a new note here. All right. Copilot extension blog post. Token for user missing. I'll look at the other project, but I'm pretty sure it's because that's reading from OctoKit. I'm pretty sure. So I'll gotta add that in. And you know what? Let's just open up another VS Code real quick. And I'm gonna open up the Copilot extension proof of concept I did. And I'll get that code so we can update the blog post right away. Okay, boom, index. Okay, so token for user. Yes, this is what I wanted. So let's go ahead and update the blog post one more time. Edit. Let's add this up here. Cool. And you know what? I'm going to add a project setting. So let's do settings. Where is it? Format. Format on save. Yeah, that's already there. Format. Yeah, okay. Default formatter. We just want TypeScript and JavaScript. We want it to be the Dino. So let's do this. Settings, workspace. Okay, and let's change this to Dino land VS Code Dino. Could set up prettier and all that stuff, but you know what? I'm just gonna leave this. That should format. Let's see, why did that not format? You know what? Maybe there's an error. Let's see here. Format document with Dino. Okay, did it. Okay, so we got the token. So yeah, so let's just go through what's here. And oh yeah, let me update the blog post real quick. Let's go to this. Let's go find app.post. Okay, here. That's good. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. Okay, cool. Let's save that. Nothing like the live coding and the live blogging. All right. Who's sending me messages here? What's going on? Boom. Uh, bu- bu- bu. Cool. All right. So that's updated the blog post. Cool. So I'm glad we're going through this too because just updating the blog post. All right. It is lunchtime, I know, but we're streaming. Okay. So just going to kind of break down what's going on here. So why is the mini map on? Okay. So when the post comes in, so like a post, uh, somebody's going to form post to our app, which is running in the GitHub app. It's going to come in here. We're going to get some GitHub specific headers, like I mentioned. So this is the token for the user. So this is just to say, like, so when I ask a question to my Copilot extension, this is going to be my GitHub token that I can use in either OctoKit or also in these like verify and parse requests. And so this basically just says this is like me logged in. So use this. Uh, check the body, which is the payload coming in, which is the question pretty much. And then there's like a signature and a key identifier. And this basically just validates, like I said, if things are legit. If it's legit, we're all good. Otherwise, boom, it can't be verified. Okay, so after we verify the request, we're gonna basically use OctoKit, and I'm gonna get the user, which is gonna be me, and then I'm gonna have this payload, which is a list of all the messages that are currently in the Copilot chat, not just the one I asked, but like even the previous history. And I'm basically just going to get the first one, which, sorry, not the first one, but the current one, which is the question I'm currently asking. So this is my prompt. And then let's just copy this in first and come here. And basically, why is that format on save not working? Uh, Anyways, let's do this again. It's kind of annoying. Why is it not applying? Okay, so what this is going to do is, so this is just a simple response I'm giving here, but we're getting the username, which should be me. So user.data.login should be Nikki T online. And we're doing a few things here. So that was the OctoKit. This is the question I was asking. And then we're basically going to output a text response to that's going to get sent back to the Copilot chat. And in there, we're going to do a few things. So we're going to create this ACK event. So that just means acknowledging that something is happening in the extension. And the reason why you do this is because the Copilot extension in the UI of it, it's going to have like a spinner, or it's going to show something is happening with that create ACK event. And then basically I'm just creating a textual response. And this isn't actually answering anything. I'm just basically saying, because this is just a part of the template, but just welcome user X. It looks like you asked the following question. So I'm just basically returning the question that you asked. And I just say it's a GitHub Copilot extension template. And it's up to you what you want to do with things. And then I basically have this create done event, and that basically tells Copilot that things are done. So we're going to start off with that, and then we're going to move on to like maybe do something a little more interesting with the Copilot extension. So let's move this over here. So one other thing you need to do, and this is so you can set things up so that it can actually be used by the GitHub app, because I'm not going to be deploying this anywhere today. But if we open up VS Code's bottom panel here, so we have the terminal, which people are probably pretty familiar with if you use VS Code, but there's also another one called ports. Now, what we can do here is we can say forward a port. So I'm going to say 3000, and that's the port. Like if we come back here, localhost 3000, that's our extension. So, okay, so now that means like if I go to this URL, like so like if I click on this, open in browser, it's gonna say welcome to my Copilot extension, but I've got this new URL. So you're gonna see this here. Let me just paste it in. So that particular URL, which I'm pretty sure my Twitch is blocking. Let me go. Oh no, it posted it. Okay, cool. So that is actually, if you go to that URL right now, you're going to see exactly what I see. Welcome to my Copilot extension. Or actually, you won't. You're gonna, if you try it, it's gonna give an error like 404 probably. Another thing you need to do is you need to make it public. So I'm gonna make it public and continue. And so what this means is literally anybody can go to that address I dropped in the chat, and people are going to be able to see welcome to my Copilot extension, and that's literally running off of my computer. So this is one of the steps for being able to build out a Copilot extension. You need to have a publicly available URL. I happen to be using VS Code's port forwarding, but if you happen to not be using VS Code, or you just don't want to use their port forwarding, you can use other tools like ngrok, or you could use something like Cloudflare, which allows you to do tunneling. I'm in VS Code most of the time, so it just makes sense to use their port forwarding. Cool. So we have that now. So let's just close this. Cool. And let's just close that. Okay. So now we're going to continue on here. And yeah, so like I mentioned, you can use Cloudflare or ngrok. And it's set up to run on port 3000, which is what we port forwarded to. All right. Cool. That's all good. Yeah, so like I mentioned here, it's great. It's a great setup for testing. Honestly, this is how you would build out a Copilot extension. And the cool thing about this is you can now debug it. So like you could do console logs and stuff if you wanted, but like because I have that now, like if we go to, is it this one? I think, no, that's the local host. Where was it? Let's open up the port forwarding again. Cool. Let me move this. Okay. Yeah, so let's copy that. Okay, so I'm gonna set this into dev mode just so I can see that. Okay, so this is the live URL here. So the cool thing about this now is, well, the port forwarding isn't part of what allows you to debug. You can always debug on your local machine, but to be able to debug, like asking a question in Copilot chat and then putting a breakpoint, or you could do console logs. But like typically when I don't know what's going on, I'll use like the Node.js debugger. So like for example, if I put a breakpoint here and I'm going to do Command Shift P and I'm going to say attach to node process. Now it should be this one. So I'm going to just pick this and let me close this and this. Now if I refresh this, you're going to see it stops in the code. And at this point, I have all the information and I can kind of just go ahead and debug. Like there's not much point in debugging this particular thing because it's pretty straightforward what it's doing. But like as you build out the Copilot extension, you might want to come into here. So like, if we were to do a forum post here, we would get a breakpoint coming in there. So I'm going to let this run, leave the debugger on, and we're going to move on here. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is we need to create a GitHub app. So this is where I'm going to stretch things out. Cool. And something's pinging me. Got to check that. That's just my reminder that it's lunchtime. But yes, I am live streaming while I'm lunching. Well, not eating lunch, but that's how we roll. Okay, cool. So let's go ahead and create the GitHub app now. And if you want to if you want to create a GitHub app, you have to access your developer settings. Excuse me. So you're going to click on the drop down here and you're going to go to settings. And you can see this down here. And I'm going to go all the way down to developer settings. Now you're going to see there's Copilot extensions already. So I'm going to delete this one. So yes, I'll use my passkey. Thank you, 1Password. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and delete. Where is it? Advanced, delete. Yes, I understand. Cool. And we're just going to do this from scratch. Okay, I'm not going to delete this one. This is my open source proof of concept, but we're going to go ahead and create a new GitHub app. So we need to give it a name. So I'm going to just call it my Copilot extension. And let's go here. Am I in the general? Yeah. Okay. Why does it look different? Okay. Anyways, it's the same thing. Maybe I'm just too zoomed out. Is that it? Oh, whatever. Okay. So we can just say this is an example Copilot extension. And obviously, if this was a real one, you'd put a proper description and name, but this is just a test. Okay, so now we need to start using that URL that we have here. So I'm going to go ahead back to the ports and I'm going to copy local address. And is that it? Yeah, okay, cool. All right. Now, the homepage URL, this is like where you would actually have a page where you would go to say this is my Copilot extension. I'm going to use the URL we're using right now. This will basically just redirect and say welcome to my Copilot extension, which is the page we have here. If we come back, where it just says hello. Okay, cool. Now, when I was talking to the GitHub engineers when we did the live stream a few weeks back, you have to add a callback URL right now. It's not required for the Copilot extension, but to create the GitHub app, you have to create one right now. This is never going to be used for the Copilot extension. And this is just something they told me that over time, I think once, I guess, Copilot extensions get out of public beta, maybe this just is not a requirement in terms of the GitHub app. That's a Copilot extension, but for now, you just have to specify it. You could put a setup URL just to explain further what you need to do. We don't need to do that. Now, We don't need a webhook URL either. And let me just go. This is all in the instructions here. Yeah, so we don't need the webhook. And then we don't need secrets or anything. And then we're going to have to do permissions next. So in general, with giving access to something, you want to use the principle of least privilege. So like only give the absolutely necessary access that something needs or a person needs. Because like, why give somebody admin privileges if they don't need it? Because they can do some damage, even if it's not intentional. So we're going to give the minimum of what we need for this Copilot extension. And also, because we're just building this out and testing it, I'm making it only available to my account right now. We could say, you know what, we could make it available to anybody, but for now, I'll just leave it like that. And I think that's it here. Yeah, we don't need to touch the permissions right just now, but we're going to create it for only this account. Going to go ahead and create the app. Okay, okay, generate a private key, sure. Let's just put that in my notes. I will switch screens for a second just so that I can do this. All right, generate a private key, generate private key. There we go. Okay, I have one now. All right, general. Okay, let's come back to pairing view and scratching my nose. Thank you. Okay, so now we're going to go to permissions and events. We probably could have done this at that other step, but just doing it here. So there's really not much you need. Like depending on what your Copilot extension does, maybe you would give more access to things. But the only thing we really need to do right now is we just need to give account permissions to Copilot chat. So by default, no access. We're going to set read only. And then I'm going to save the changes. Save changes. Yes, I'm sure. Okay. So we have the app and set the app type to, oh yeah. So now we got to go to the Copilot settings. And by default, the Copilot's app type is disabled. We need to set it to agent. This is just so you'll be able to access it within Copilot chat. And we've got a URL. So this URL, which is not that, is very important. This is where whenever somebody asks a question, it's going to come to here and it's going to do a form post to this particular URL. And I don't need to do anything else here. I'm going to go ahead and save it. And I think we're all done. So next thing we need to do is we need to install the extension. So we're going to go to install app and I'm going to say install the My Copilot extension GitHub app. So I'm going to say install and I'm saying yes, tells you what permissions you have. Always important to look at what permissions you have because like sometimes you might just be like, nope, not installing that because it's accessing all these things. Okay, so I have it installed now. And yeah, we just saw that part and we're back here and we're all good. So let's go ahead and test it. So I'm going to come here. Let's go to general purpose chat and I'm going to say @ and all of a sudden you see My Copilot extension. So this is the GitHub app that we just created that is using the web server that we are running. And I'm going to ask a question. It's, again, the response by default is just going to say like, welcome Nikki T online. This is a Copilot extension example. So let's see here. What is the meaning of life? I'm not sure if Copilot's going to flag that to say that's not really programming related, but let's go ahead and ask it. Now remember I have the debugger on. Okay, so this is the first time we're using it. So it just needs to connect. And I'm just saying, yes, I want to authorize my Copilot extension. Okay, yes, and that's the welcome screen. That's the welcome URL. So let's get back here and let's do that again. So at My Copilot extension, what is the meaning of life? And I'm going to go ahead and boom, we're like, let's make this bigger now. Let's hide the console. And now just to reiterate what's going on here, we have a GitHub app installed, which is the GitHub Copilot extension, and that is running a web server. And we have the debugger on, and I just asked a question and it did a post to our web server, which is running with the port forwarding so that it's exposed on the internet, but it's my local host. And then now here I can just start debugging. So I'm going to close the sidebar and I'm just going to step through here. And you're going to see here, so token for user. So this is my identifier to say that this is me, my session. You're going to see the body here, and it's a JSON payload. And you're going to see there's like a few things like Copilot thread ID, etc. And then there's a signature, and then the key. And then we're going to validate the request. So we're going to see here, was it valid? It is valid. And is what's the payload? And so the payload, it's, if we look here in the dev tools, let's go to the debug console, let's do payload. And you're going to see this is what got sent. And you can see there's messages in here. This first one, I think, is just like some generic one from Copilot. Or no, that was me accepting the installation, I think. And then the next one is, what is the meaning of life, which was my question. So let's go ahead and close that. And then, so what we can do here, like if we come back here, can I restart? Step, I'm not sure if I can do that in here, restart. Okay, let's let it run. But the request is valid. And then I'm gonna get a reference to a new instance of OctoKit. Let's let that play out. Okay, I think it hung too long. Let's go see what happened. Okay, I think I was waiting too long because I was debugging. So let's go ahead and let's detach the debugger. And let's go ahead and ask this again. What is the meaning of life? And so you're going to see here, let me zoom this in. It says, welcome Nikki T online. It looks like you asked the following question. What's the meaning of life? This Copilot extension template. So it's up to you to decide what you want to do. So at this point, we have a working Copilot extension. It's not useful really, but it works. So if we come back here, I just want to show you like how, if we rerun this, if I get out of this Hano code, I just want to show how the validation might not work. So let's just say I'm going to not use the actual signature. I'm going to say blah, blah, blah. And why is it not like in that? Oh, yeah. Okay. Signature. It should be good. Oh, yeah. Sorry. It's because it's not an object. Okay. So I just want to show you what's going to happen here now. I'm going to ask the same thing again. And we should get an error because it's not going to validate. Okay, there you go. The request from GitHub to the My Copilot extension failed. Status code 404. Why is it giving a 401? But I think that is this saying it's not valid. Let's go ahead and check that actually. Let's reattach. And let's ask that again. Okay, so we're going to come here. Okay, it's not valid. So there we go. It's giving a 401, but it should be maybe a 404. But I think Copilot itself, chat, is just converting it to a 404. So we can see here, like, so it's super important to validate things so that we can block nefarious people or bad actors, as they say. All right, let's keep it with the real stuff. And that's kind of like essentially how you get up and running. And I'm just going to go through the blog post a bit here. We went through testing it. The other thing I want to show you, so like I said, this is available everywhere that Copilot Chat is available. So I'm in Copilot Chat in VS Code now. Let me zoom in here. I'm going to say @ and you're going to see my Copilot extension is in there. Uh, and then I'm going to ask the same question or something else. Let's see. I don't know. Why does the internet have bad eggs? And there you go. Again, so like we were on github.com, we have the Copilot extension running, it's returning a response. I'm in VS Code now, and I'm getting the same experience. And that's pretty cool, I think. And I can't show you other places where it's available. We could go into code spaces maybe, but I don't think we need to. But if you're using Visual Studio, like I said, if you're a .NET developer, there's Copilot chat in there, so you would have access to this in there as well, which is pretty cool, I think. And that's kind of like really essentially, well, I don't want to say essentially it, but we could make this do something more interesting. So we could look at the SDK. So let's do preview SDK, and let's zoom this out a bit. So yeah, we can see that there's Gregor and Francis. Those are the two folks I hung out with uh, a few weeks ago. Cool. So yeah, so we can see some things that you have access to. So there's this verify request, like I mentioned, and those other things like create ack event, create text event, create done. This example is using Express here, so that's why it's saying response.write. But we could send a custom prompt, so like we could ask like kind of like think of this like as a chat GPT like interface. So let's go ahead and do that. So let's see here. Let's go ahead and let's import prompt. We don't have errors event right now, but that's fine. I could actually respond with an error. That would probably make more sense. Okay, but let's add the prompt. And let's come down here and let's just basically look at this example. And we can just comment this out for now. So we're basically saying prompt, what is the capital of France? Why is it not like that? Interesting. Try catch. This expression is not callable. Okay, interesting. I wonder if that's out of date. So we have prompt here. Why is it not using that one? Oh, okay, that's my bad. It's because I have the question here, and it's called prompt two. Okay, so let's rename this to user prompt. There we go. That's better. So we have a token, and what is that token from? Okay, that's the GitHub token. So we could just change this to user or token for user, and we're going to use this user prompt. So we're going to ask a question, and then we don't need the user now, so we might not need OctoKit, I guess, which is fine. Let's just get rid of that. Okay, and we want to do a few things here. This is doing the prompt, but we want to do a few things here. So we want to get the prompt. We're going to ask the question, but we're going to wait that. And so if there's an error, we're going to do this. Create error. Oh, what is it? Create error event. Let's just make this the whole size for now. Create errors event. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so let's see here. We can say error message, sure. Errors of type unknown, yes. Okay, let's do, uh, it is unknown. Well, it's unknown by default, so let's just say, well, we'll know it's type error. Or it should be catch clause variable must be any or unknown. Okay, fine. We'll leave it as unknown, and then we're just gonna cast here as error. Yeah, okay, yeah, it's Copilot errors event. Let's see here. There. What is it expecting actually? Oh yeah, errors, Copilot errors. Okay, so it's one error, and then in there, what do we got? Message. Okay, message string is missing. The following properties: type and code. Type error code. I don't know. Let's just say. I don't know. Maybe. Oh, this is a string. Let's say like invalid, or we'll just say prompt error. Okay, what types of are available here? Okay, agent, function, or reference. So we'll say the type is an agent, identifier, thank you, TypeScript, prompt error, code, prompt error. Okay, good enough for now. This is just so that Copilot can actually report it visually as an error. And that looks good. We need to do the create ack event. So let's do this. Okay, we got the content here. So let's do c dot, whoops, not XML, c dot text, create ack event plus create event. Yeah, okay, that looks good, except we want message dot content. Okay, let's go ahead and try this, and let's actually ask a question now. So let's go back to Copilot. Let's say at my Copilot, whoops, at my Copilot extension, explain doubly linked lists. And I'm going to zoom this out a bit, and it should come back with a response. Give it a second. I think I need to switch. Okay, error fit. Oh wait, did I do something else here? Let's see here. Prompt. Let's move this over here. Oh, you know what? We can actually just stay in here and use it in VS Code now. And let's do attach. Okay, at my Copilot extension, explain what a doubly linked list is. Okay, so this should come in, and then we're going to go ahead and step through here. It's a valid request, that's good. User prompt, explain what doubly linked list is. Prompt, token for user, boom. Let's see where it ends up. Okay, that's good. So create an acknowledgement event, message.content. So we have the answer and create done event. So let's go ahead and let that run. Weird. Why is it giving a 404? It's definitely working because we're getting the content back. Oh, I know what I did wrong. Sorry. We have to actually return the response. So return. That makes more sense. And I still don't know why the format document is not working automatically. I have it set to autosave. So let's go ahead and do this again. I'm going to remove the breakpoints this time so we can just let it run. And let's stretch this out and boom, zoom in a little more. Cool. So I'm saying explain what W linked list is, and you can see it's generating. So that's the UI saying like something's happening. And there we go, we get an answer. And so this is super cool. We're even getting, you know, some code blocks and stuff. But just want to show, or this basically demonstrates, I don't want to say easy because things aren't always easy, but it seems pretty straightforward as long as you have, for example, the Copilot subscription to go ahead and build one of these today. I'm using just the default models for the prompt, but you could choose a different model and stuff, and you could wire in your own subscriptions. Like I mentioned with the open source Copilot extension proof of concept, I used our AI offering, which is called Star Search. So like if we come back here to open source, this isn't a stream about open source, but I just want to show you what I wired it up to. So we have this thing called Star Search, and so I can like ask questions. So I could say like get information on contributor activity. So for example, my coworker Brandon Roberts, what pull requests has he worked on? Okay, of course it's gonna like blow up on me right now, but basically we have APIs that interface with our AI services, and that's what I did in the Copilot extension. So but I think this is pretty neat. So like if we go ahead and let's, and again, I'm over on github.com now, not in VS Code. So this is kind of like you can take it wherever you go. And uh, I don't think the conversations from VS Code get persisted here. I could be wrong about that. We could take a peek here, like view all conversations 3 minutes ago. Okay, no, it doesn't look like the ones in VS Code get persisted on github.com, but definitely if you're on here you'll have your history of conversation. So let's go ahead and let's just ask another question. So I don't know, let's say what is the best algorithm for sorting a matrix? Maybe that's too vague. Hey Jean, how's it going, man? Yeah, so yeah, I was just showing. So basically, we've been building out a Copilot extension. This is something new from GitHub Copilot. It's in public beta. I can drop a link to it. You can check it out here. And this is the blog post I've been referencing that I wrote recently that explains all this too. And I'll drop one more link again. This is like a bunch of examples that you can check out. And yeah, essentially, I did build out a proof of concept of the GitHub Copilot extension for open source, which uses our AI services. But today we're just showing like how you can build your own. And you can see here, I've wired this up to just a prompt. And so I just asked a question, what is the best algorithm for sorting a matrix? And I guess there's different requirements, so it gives me some options. But this is something that I built out that was, again, I'm not going to say easy, but I've documented how to do this. So just to recap, it essentially a Copilot extension is a few things. It's a GitHub app that you have to register. Also have to register that GitHub app as a Copilot extension. We've gone through this and it's in the blog post. And the Copilot extension GitHub app actually calls a web server, so it'll do like form posts to it. And that's the tech there. And currently I'm using Hano.js here, like if we come back here. But you can literally use any kind of web technology. The only thing I'll mention right now is I'm using the Preview SDK for Copilot extensions, and it currently only supports TypeScript and JavaScript. But feel free to open up an issue in that repo if you want to see other languages, or honestly, I'd even say like if you're up for it, it is Hacktoberfest. Consider creating one for the language you want to see. So like maybe that's Go, maybe Python, like whatever your regular web development flow is. It's not to say you can't use that right now. It's just you won't be able to use the Preview SDK. And the Preview SDK abstracts away some things that you can still do it. It's a nice layer on the server sent events, which is basically what's happening in all these kind of like chat like interfaces for AI offerings, including Copilot chat. Yeah, TS is king, Jean, but like I'm a big fan of it, been using it forever. But like we're in Node.js and front end land, but like there's people outside of JavaScript land who like prefer other things. But TypeScript is definitely popular for sure. So yeah, just kind of want to recap what we did then. So like we walked through the blog post that I have here. Let's go back to that. And this just outlines all the steps you need to do to go ahead and create a Copilot extension. We showed how to set up your local environment so that you can actually run an actual GitHub app that is the Copilot extension, be able to debug things if you need to. And we also saw it working in action on github.com, but also on in VS Code in the Copilot chat, which is super cool. Um, and that's kind of essentially it. I mean, I'm understating it, but I think this is pretty cool. And the fact that there's a preview SDK that Gregor and Francis and some others have worked on, that's pretty cool as well. Just abstracts away some things. And again, I'm using Hano.js, but you could use Express, whatever, you know, Node, Dino, Cloudflare stuff, Netlify, Vercel, wherever you want to deploy to. Anything that can serve web requests should be valid uh, as a web server for a Copilot extension. And yeah, that's essentially it. Don't really have much else to say about it. I'm pretty excited about this stuff because it opens the doors for a lot of things potentially. Business wise, how can it be used? Well, I mean, it depends on your business, I guess. But for example, Sentry already has a Copilot extension. So, like, you could be in your repo because, like, say you're on github.com or maybe even in VS Code. You can create new issues straight out of there. I don't know all the things you can do, but there's other integrations where people like partnered with GitHub. I think Cloudinary, no, maybe not Cloudinary. There's a few basically, but basically whatever your business is, if it makes sense to be in the context of Copilot, um, you know, just do what you think makes sense. Um, yeah, it's pretty neat stuff, I think, and it's still early days, so like that's why I wanted to write that blog post a few weeks ago, and that's also why I wanted to just do a live stream of like A to Z. Yeah, you could kind of say it's similar, yes, but there is a big difference. So yeah, there's a Discord bot, uh, but in the context of a Copilot extension, you have everything that Copilot can do, and then like it's called an. I'm not being like sarcastic here, but it's an extension because you're extending what Copilot can already do by adding additional superpowers to it. So you can still ask Copilot. So like this is my extension, so I'm saying at my Copilot extension, but I could just ask Copilot directly. Um, what is a good React meta framework? And now it's GitHub Copilot answering, not my Copilot extension. And all those messages that are there, like the previous context, you have access to that too. Um, yeah, so in this particular case, I'm not bound to VS Code, Jean. I mean, for my development environment, to show how I built it, yes. But the Copilot chat is available in VS Code. It's available on github.com. It would be available in GitHub Code Spaces. I mean, um, in Visual Studio, if you do .NET, there's a Copilot chat too. So it's basically anywhere Copilot chat is available, or GitHub Copilot chat, your extension, I would say in theory, should work there. All the places I've tried it have worked. So yeah, and it's pretty neat. And yeah, you can see here, so this just answered. So I asked what's a good meta framework, and you can see here it's referencing the file I have open. And let's see here. Yeah, so it's suggesting Next.js. Like obviously, there's other meta frameworks for React, like Remix, and there's like Redwood, and there's others. There's Waku, but basically it was suggesting Next.js, and then it gives me an example. And then I could potentially, like right now, I'm only using the question I asked, but I can actually take the context from the previous messages as well and use that to build another response. So, but yeah, that's essentially it. Uh, I'm not sure. Oh yeah, I'm on the wrong screen. Yeah, yeah. Oh man, that's classic me. So, yeah, if I come back to here, yeah. So basically, yeah, it's available. Basically everything I said. Yeah, so you can see here. Here's Copilot Chat in VS Code, and then here it is over on GitHub.com. You can ignore those errors because that was me before asking something. But I could say like, what is uh, explain a binary search to me. And so this is going to prompt, and this isn't, it's in Copilot chat, but I'm not asking Copilot directly. I'm asking my extension this question. And this is just hitting a prompt. I think it defaults to Chat GPT. And then you can see here, it's just answers. But I could also ask that in Copilot. But with Copilot, you also have the context of files where you're working and stuff, the repo you're in. So lots of stuff. One last question: is it bound to your user account? So currently it is, but like we could, if you wanted to try this, actually, I could enable it temporarily. So if we go to GitHub.com, the only reason why it's bound to my account is because it's literally running off my local machine right now. But I think we can change that setting. So you missed this part, I think, Jean, at the beginning. But so if you want to create a GitHub app, you go to your settings, then you go to developer settings, and then you got GitHub apps here. So I'm going to go ahead and edit this, and I'm just going to see. Uh, I'm not sure if I can set it to everybody after I've just created it, but let's see. Uh, Add a note to users. That's the permissions. Install app. No repositories. No, that's not it. Okay, let me go ahead and recreate it real quickly. And if you want to try it, John, do you have a, I guess, quick question. Do you have a Copilot subscription? If you do, you can actually test my Copilot extension if you want. Otherwise, if you don't, you won't be able to access this. That is, I wouldn't say a drawback. I mean, you're probably building a Copilot extension if you have a subscription. But if for some reason you wanted to build one out, or like, I don't know, maybe you had a contract to build one out, just grab the subscription for a month. I think it's like $10 or something. Okay, you do have it. Okay, cool. So let's go ahead and try this. So let me just recreate it, or maybe I can go to app settings. Let's see. Basic information, post, allow. Okay. I don't think I can make it available to everybody. Let me just check a couple places. Otherwise, I'm just going to recreate the app and then you can test it. Okay, so Copilot, no. Optional, no. Advanced. Okay, allow this get. Okay, yeah, so make public. Okay, so how? Okay, it's public now. Save. I can't see your screen, Jean, but I'm wondering if we go to GitHub Apps. I'm wondering how you can see it. Just go to your developer settings, and there's the GitHub Marketplace. GitHub Copilot Marketplace. Is this it? Okay. Yeah. There's this. That's a great question, Jean. I haven't deployed it to like Netlify or somewhere like Cloudflare or Vercel because I think you might need a little longer running server. So, but that's just like you could try it basically. But depending on how long it takes to respond, because like it's kind of different. Like with like if you're running stuff on the edge. So like for example, when I worked at Nullify, Dino allows I think it might have changed, but I think it's 50 milliseconds of CPU time. But like making a request doesn't count in terms of the time like for that to run. So like when the request gets sent and then comes back, it's only the CPU time that counts. So you could try it. I haven't tried it yet, but I'm just gonna see if my Copilot extension is in here. Okay, no. Okay. I'm trying to see how I could share it with you. It's public now, but I'm wondering how to do that. Um, let's see here. It would be interesting to try it on the edge though. Or like even like functions like Vercel functions or Netlify functions. Um, I think it really depends on how long the query is running. I know for like AI stuff we used at open source, we're using Nest.js and it's running on a server full instance. Uh, okay. Uh, use your app ID. Okay, here's the public link. Okay, got it. Okay, go to go to this link, Jean. Let me know if you can install that if you go into the developer extensions. And when you do, what I'm gonna do just to add a little wow factor is I'm gonna attach to the node debugger, and once you've got it installed, it should hit the breakpoint saying welcome to my Copilot extension once you install it. And then if you actually ask a question, it should stop in here and we should see you. Um, so let me know when you do that. And well, I'll see it running here, but if you can just kind of give a heads up on the chat, just more for timing sake. But yeah, it'd be pretty neat to see this working, hopefully. Okay, and while you're doing that, I just gotta check socials for a sec. Cool. All right, that's good. We got all kinds of notifications. Cool. All right, let me go back to our chat. Cool. It doesn't matter. Oh, yeah, yeah. You're on X. Okay, you don't see the link. Okay, let me go post it on X or let me go find you, Jean. I'm going to search for you. Am I following you? I'm not sure. If I'm not, I will. Okay, x.com. Uh, what's your handle, Jean? Like I see your name showing up as Jean in my chat, but hey, Arvin, how's it going? Good to see you, my man. We're kind of wrapping things up here, but yeah, Jean, if you don't mind just dropping your X handle, we can try this out. I'm trying to recognize your face on there, but okay. Jean Martel. Okay. All right. Cool. All right. 98. Why is it not? Oh, J.E. Martel. Sorry. There we go. Salut. Oh yeah, I'm already following you. Okay. Cool. I'll just post the public link. But all right, you know what? I'm gonna DM it to you because I just in case like a million people start posting. So here, let me just send you a DM. Message. Et voilà. Non, c'est pas le bon lien. Hold on a sec. There we go. Also, if you want to try it, Arvin, you can. If you have a Copilot subscription, you can do the same thing if you want to test it out. So let's go back here. Je t'ai perdu, Jean. Where'd you go? Okay, there we go. All right, let's go back to regular scheduled business. I did DM that to you, Jean, so check that out. And let's come back here. Okay, using Codium. Okay, yeah, no worries. Okay, yeah, we don't need to see my Twitter right now. let's come back to here. And okay, so basically Jean in the chat over on X is going to install my Copilot extension. I've made it publicly available, which is something I normally wouldn't do because it's just running on my local, but this is just kind of cool to see the interaction. Uh, I'll be stopping the Copilot extension after the stream, but so Jean's going to install it. He has a Copilot extension. Sorry, he has a Copilot subscription. uh, Arvin, I know you joined a little later, but basically the Copilot extension is a GitHub app which form posts to a web app. I'm using port forwarding in VS Code uh, running on my local host, so it's publicly accessible. And I have the Node.js debugger running. So basically, when Jean gets it installed, it should stop here and say, "Welcome to my Copilot extension." I should hit that breakpoint. And then if Jean asks a question, which he can't share a screen obviously because he's not on the live stream, but when he asks a question, it's going to stop in here and we'll be able to see what he's asking. So yeah, let me know if it installs okay, Jean. I haven't installed this for somebody else yet, and there's that public link. I don't even know that whole flow. So actually, while you're doing that, if we go to this directly, let's just see what that page looks like. Okay, so it's not on the marketplace, but it's publicly visible. And then you can just basically go ahead and configure it. And okay, cool. Awesome. Yeah, I don't know if Codium. Oh, you mean Codium the extension in VS Code? Is that what you mean, Arvin? I misunderstood you. I was mixing it up with Cursor AI for a sec. Okay, cool. Jean's installed it, and we can see this is Jean literally hitting my web server right now. So that's pretty cool. So bienvenue to my extension, Jean. Okay, let's just remove that breakpoint. Cool. Um, all right, so this is Jean asking a question now, and you should see it spinning. So we're gonna see here, Jean's asked a question, or I think this might be him just registering the Copilot extension. Oh no, how are you, chat? Okay, so he's asking a question, and this is gonna return a response. Just give it a second. I'm not sure if I hit the breakpoint after he asked it. So Jean, I don't know if you got a response. Okay, it's coming in again. It's a valid request. Okay, so we can see here. So the question was, what up, chat? Can we talk about open source? And then the answer is going to be message. Of course, when you mention open source, I assume you mean open source, I think. Let's go ahead and look at that. Debug message. So this is the response for Jean's question. Of course, when you mention open source, I assume you mean open source. Open source software is software with source that can, well, basically that whole thing there. So this is super cool. So yeah, so Jean is able to actually use my Copilot extension. Obviously, I wouldn't put this in production, and I don't really feel like leaving my computer on that way. But let's go ahead and just let that run. Jean might have got an error in Copilot because I had the debugger hanging so long here. But um, anyways, that's super cool. I'm going to remove the breakpoints and I'm going to detach Jean, but feel free to, you can ask another question. But that's pretty cool that you were able to connect to it and get an actual answer. So I don't know. I think that's a good place to wrap up. Thanks, Jean, for asking if you can try and install it because that was cool to see you using it. And Arvin, yeah, thanks for popping by. I know you came a little later, but just gonna wrap up. So basically, if you want to make a Copilot extension today, what I would encourage you to do is check out my blog post. I don't think there's a lot of content out there yet on Copilot extensions. So this is the blog post. It's on Dev2, but it's also on my own blog post here. Check that out. There's also other links. So this repositories this is the Copilot extensions org. There's a bunch of repositories there you can check out with examples. And also, if you're just curious about Copilot extensions in general, it's still in public beta, so you can check this link out as well. And yeah, thanks for hanging out, chat. And we'll see you in the next one. Take care, everybody.